This series is made possible by the generous donation of Stifel Financial and viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to Where Do We Go From Here? This series explores local issues that are confronting our community, and we have conversations with experts in the community to get their insights and perspectives, and hopefully to solve some of these problems. My name is Debbie Gibbs, and I'm an environmentalist, and I have a special interest in supporting climate-friendly agriculture. This program today is going to focus on climate change and its impacts on agriculture. And in particular, I don't know that people are aware that perhaps only maybe 1 to 10% of our food in Nevada County is grown in the county. So food security will always be an issue for us. We're very fortunate today to have as a guest Rich Johansen. Rich is the owner of Johansen Family Farms. He's been an organic farmer for 30 years. And I must say that Rich is probably one of the most energetic and innovative farmers that I've met in the community. And his talents are so well regarded that he serves as the chair of the Agriculture Advisory Committee, which provides recommendations and information to our Board of Supervisors. So thank you so much, Rich, for being here. It's really a delight and a pleasure to interview you. And I'd like to start by hearing a little bit about your farms. Again, you've been doing this a long time, 30 years, and I understand you have 2 locations, so if you could tell us about both of those, because that gives you sort of a unique perspective in terms of agriculture.
Oh, thanks, Debbie. I grew up in a family farm since 1910. It's been in the family. So I went to UC Davis, received a degree in ag economics and business management. Little military service, and then joined the Peace Corps, where I got subtropical agricultural training in Costa Rica. Right after that, came back to the States, mid to late 70s, met Amigo, and that's when we started converting our farms in Orland, which is citrus, to organic.
Okay, this is Amigo Bob.
Yes.
The famous organic farmer, okay.
The guy's incredible.
All righty.
Yeah, and so 1990 we became certified organic, started building there was no market at that time for mandarins, and we had to literally develop a market, and we now market into Canada, Seattle, Portland, back east, Midwest, and so we're very fortunate to have a loyal following, and so we became certified organic 1990, opened all the doors for us. Now we're going to the Produce Safety Modernization Act stuff, Food Safety Modernization Act. So we've been following that for quite a few years. So it's been a kind of transformation. Some of the milestones growing up, my dad would tell me about 1932 when he walked across the Sacramento River and didn't get muddy.
Oh, wow.
And then in the late
good.
30s, before Shasta Dam, it was flooded all the way from Highway 70 to almost I-5.
Okay.
All right, and with everything. After Shasta Dam, and it subsided, but still not until Oroville Dam did it bring some stability into the valley. Otherwise, we had the 1955, 56 floods. Yuba City got flooded. Helmand City almost got wiped out.
So climate has had an impact on you throughout history.
Huge. 72 big freeze. Mid to late 70s, we had the drought. We had to take out 20% of our trees.
Wow.
Could barely keep others alive. 93 converted over to micro sprinklers.
Okay.
All right. And so we encased our whole ranch in Orland. We lost habitat.
Wow.
And as our neighbors started doing the same thing, we were saving water, but we lost a lot of wildlife habitat. And that's sad.
Did that impact on your agriculture, or do you think it was just a detriment to the species, not?
It just didn't feel right.
Yeah, okay.
And then we hit another, couple freezes and shortage of water, and we formed an irrigation district. So the drought, couple years, last few years we've had drought. We wouldn't have had mandarins. Our well would not have sustained the whole year. We're in a pretty good aquifer, actually 3 of them, but the one our pump is in would not have sustained, and we were able to buy water, transfer water out of another district and buy it for high price, but we're still farming. We had to do that 2 years in a row.
Wow.
They estimated about 250,000 acre-feet was transferred at that time, but it kept the small farmer in business.
Okay. So Orland then, that's in the valley
Yeah.
proper, right? So
Right.
you're already seeing the effects of climate change at
Oh,
that
yeah.
elevation, if you will.
Yes.
How about your farm in Nevada,
Well,
in Penn Valley?
In 1980, Mila and I decided to come here, and because my great-grandparents came here in the 1850s.
Okay.
They were gold miners and other things. Pretty
Okay,
rowdy.
that's another story, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty rowdy group. And so we came here because we knew the community. My great aunt lived here, Doris Foley. It was great to visit her through the years, and so we came here because of the water,
Wow.
and the land, and the people. This is a very special place to live. We had traveled all through the United States looking for a place that seemed right to us, and this is it.
Okay. But still, it was like coming home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All righty. Well, as I said, you're the chair for the Ag Advisory Committee, so you've seen a lot happening in terms of Nevada County's policy on agriculture. Could you perhaps give us a little bit of a background in terms of where we've been and where you think we need to go?
Sure. I think we were looking at the basics. My involvement started like early 2000 with the Board of Supervisors forming the Agricultural Working Group. And on that group was pretty hardcore ranchers, farmers, environmentalists, and at that point we were all kind of looking at each other across the table going, what? But we asked the pertinent question, what do you want? What do you see for our future? And then we all agree. We want the same thing. How do we get there? And so as we started feathering that out, we came across with a lot of recommendations. And today, I think we've hit on most of them.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, we've accomplished it. I think the Board of Supervisors have always been there and supporting us. Nevada County management may be our fault. We should have educated you better as to necessity, why we needed certain things like employee housing.
Okay.
Why do we need direct access to markets? Because we don't have a big enough market for a lot of our young farmers here.
Okay.
And they need direct access, and we need to make it convenient for the buyer, the consumer, to find us. And Nevada County Grown was formed, Come Home to Eat, the local food coalition with Rita DeQuercus. A lot of things were, starting to happen then. Now we have Living Lands, and now Sierra Harvest has formed that, taking care of, pairing farmers with vacant land. And 10 days ago, I just spent some time with a couple that has given their land to young farmers, and they love it. They love the idea that food's being produced on it.
Okay.
So, and now we're getting agritourism. We have it. We can promote our products. We can value add processing. We have that. I think we're in much better shape now than we were then. The one thing that is different today is that most of our farmers have reached regulatory fatigue.
Interesting.
We do not have the time to be accountable to the state and federal government and local government on the level that they want us to. We can either farm or we can write out paperwork for you. The big farmers can afford to hire somebody to do that. The small farmers cannot. So I think this community needs to make a decision. Do you want that? You want the small farmers, the local farmers supplying us with food, or do you want to be supplied with food with the large corporations that really don't care about us?
Okay.
Just-
And I think from what you're saying, one of the features you think that is important about Nevada County is the small farmer
Huge.
and the type of farming that is done here versus, I imagine, the type of farming you see going on in the valley, where
Yeah.
it is the huge monocultures and practices that perhaps aren't going to be as desirable under climate change situations as it gets warmer and warmer.
Yeah, large consolidation. The water flows to the rich. And we'll talk about that further, even in our Northern California, the water flows to who can afford it.
Okay.
In San Joaquin Valley, it's become even worse than that.
Wow.
It flows to the mega rich. And in talking about water, I think we need a community advisory committee to be formed. We need to start talking about how do we want to approach our water needs. Just don't focus on Centennial Dam. Let's focus on our demand, how much water supply we have. Do we want to decrease our demand and conserve, and eliminate the ranchettes from having raw water? They produce a lot of food.
Yeah.
They produce a tremendous amount of food. It's not accounted for
Yeah.
in our equation. So for me, I think more storage. There's no substitute for water, and there's no substitute for water storage. And without somebody 2 and 3 years ago willing to sell me water, I'd be out of business in the valley.
So that would be a problem for you.
And
so,
here, one more point. And here, if we get into a critically dry third year, Nevada County's out of water.
Okay.
So we need to have that discussion, bring in everybody, all the stakeholders, and let's have it.
So I guess in your capacity as the chair of the Ag Advisory Committee meeting, you can make that recommendation to the Board of Supervisors, or would this be something that you could suggest to NID?
I think NID would be
a better place to do that?
They know
Okay.
water better than anybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, they don't have any kind of a citizen advisory group. Is that your understanding, or?
Well, they have a drought hardship committee.
Okay.
They have a pesticide advisory committee
Okay.
and they're testing Thursday and Wednesday.
Okay.
The coming week. Alternatives. Again, Amigo is one of the advisors on that. And here's a different organic, instead of Roundup.
Okay. Yeah.
All right?
Right.
And there's some unique things coming on. And I'm going to put an ad, you talked about our way of farming. Ag Today provides food security, and the way we do it, community-sized fire breaks, by properly managing our ranches and farms. We also have world-class wildlife habitat. It's second to none, and that water provides that habitat.
Okay.
Supports it. And then we have pastoral scenes. It's a very unique county.
It is, and what I find amazing is looking back at the history of the county, there used to be a tremendous agricultural production that occurred here that took care of not over the miners, but also, I understood, we exported down to Sacramento.
Yeah.
So there is the capacity to have a very vibrant agriculture industry here. Do you see us going more in that direction as...
Oh, we have to.
Okay, and why do we have to?
I don't think we have a choice.
Okay, all right.
It's a measure of food security. We only have 3 days of food in this community. The rest of it is being grown, processed, or trucked at an average of 1,500 miles.
Okay.
So we need to start growing more of our food. My grandmother would talk about the time when she was in above Sierra City in the mines, and they'd go down to Birchville and buy their produce, or they'd be sent up to them.
Okay.
It was a memory that she never forgot. How
Okay.
special that was.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you mentioned the homesteaders. I guess that's the term I would use for them. That how much of the agriculture in Nevada County do you think are people that have a little bit of land that are producing their own supply food, sharing it with their neighbors? Do you think that's a large?
Well, I think it's
part?
large. I don't think we don't properly measure it.
Okay.
I know one cattle ranch is selling 60 head to homesteaders,
Wow.
to ranchettes alone. I mean,
Okay.
different ranchettes.
That's a lot of beef.
But that's a lot of beef. That's taking a 500 to 700 pound, steer, and making it 11 to 1,200 pound, then slaughtering for your supply of meat. Other people, I think it's big.
But technically they're really not farmers. I mean, they are. I mean, how do we make sure that and at some point I think water probably will have to be allocated, that these people are protected as well as legitimate farmers? Do you see that as an issue, or
Yeah,
do you
I do.
think? Okay.
I think
all right.
I think it's already been called for that they get cut off. That's where we're
Okay.
going to conserve water. We can't cut water off of them.
Yeah.
Let's
yeah.
increase our supplies. We're going to get it.
So.
So, and if you want to talk about climate change, is that you know, the snowpack currently does 100,000 acre feet. That's the measure. That's how big that snowpack is, year in, year out. But we're not getting the snow anymore, and it's melting off faster, so it's not coming at the right time. It will overflow, you know, if we have full reservoirs. So we need to replace that snowpack. How do we do it?
Yeah. One question I have on that, Rich, is perhaps the growing season may need to start earlier. I mean, if we're getting warmer temperatures, does it make sense perhaps to use some of that water before April 15th? Would that, in terms of your planting, do you find that you have changed your patterns in terms of when you plant in Nevada County at least?
No.
No? Okay. So
the soil doesn't, what I plant is, you know, a lot of melons, winter squash,
okay.
and I need 70 degrees in the soil.
Okay, so
now,
even though the water is here, the temperature in the soil is not here.
I can do season extenders.
Okay.
That would help.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
And we were thinking about planting citrus up here.
Yeah.
I mean, Felix Chalet has done it.
Yeah.
But this past winter, they wouldn't have done very well commercially.
I know my lemon tree didn't.
Exactly.
Yeah, they don't like it.
It was a hard year.
Yeah. So.
And but it didn't freeze at all down in Orland.
Okay.
So
all right.
you know, something I've become, you know, more aware of is our daughter's in Peace Corps in Africa.
Okay.
And started reading this article about Thomas Friedman, who's a 3-time Pulitzer Prize winner from New York Times. And he went to Europe looking for migrants from war-torn countries, and he found that he was finding the immigrants were from the drought, from climate change. And he kept asking, where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from? Why? We were farmers. It doesn't rain anymore. Everything is dead. And they left. Wow. And scary, because it's the whole upper northern part of Africa. And then he went and started getting into the Syrian civil war. Well, that was caused by drought. The farmers couldn't farm anymore. Nobody listened to them. They got a little upset. There's a stronger word. Yes. And they took the Civil War, open revolution, and that caused that whole problem. In Africa alone and Middle East, they estimate anywhere from 60 million have already migrated or moved. And the Norwegian who's in charge of some of this, trying to solve the problems, thinks the migration will be 200 million to 1 billion people.
Oh my gosh.
What are we going to do with them?
Yeah.
And
they need to eat.
They need to eat, and they need to have, you know, lives. What are we going to do with 200 million people on the move?
Yeah.
So they've set up a Shahil, which is a green zone. They hope to stop the encroachment of the desert, the Sahara. And just below that, our daughter's working in the Peace Corps on agriculture, and she takes a bath 2 times a week in a bucket, and she only gets a third of it.
Oh, wow.
And we're seeing pictures of her walking 3 to 5 minutes with a water jug on her head and getting brackish water, purifying it and everything. And, you know.
We're very fortunate in the U.S. and in Nevada County.
She's right, yeah. She's calling us saying, hey, you know, of all the opportunities in America, and a lot of people just squander them. But over here, nobody squanders anything. Yeah.
I imagine.
So,
well, hopefully things will not get to that state for us. What do you see as ways that we might sort of fortress ourselves against some of these possibilities? I mean, what sort of practices would you like to see employed?
Now let's paint a darker picture.
Okay, all right. You want to go to the dark side?
So,
all right.
Let's go to the San Joaquin Valley, where so they had a drought. And again, those who could afford it put their wells deeper, sucked their neighbors dry, took all water. Some water now is being transferred 2 counties away because these people are sucking that much water. And when the groundwater management plans come into effect, they think that 1 million acres of productive farmland in the San Joaquin will be fallowed.
Wow,
You got to realize that Shasta Dam and Oroville Dam supply them with, just in Kern County alone, with 1.4 million acre feet of water. It's not sustainable. And they're going to fallow land down there. or they're going to, or they already are, they're buying land up here.
So okay, so that was my next question then. If that land is no longer productive in the valley, does that mean that we produce more? Does that mean that the ag industry goes outside of California? What do you see in your crystal ball happening?
I say we have to produce more.
Okay.
We have to up our game.
Alrighty. So, and I think what's interesting in Nevada County is I think our largest farm is maybe 17 acres.
Yeah.
So we don't, and you're pretty large. You have what?
Oh, we're probably on 10 to 12.
Okay, so you're one of the bigger ones. What do you think about the recent move to regenerative agriculture and having higher rates of production on smaller pieces of land? Do you think that's a strategy that we should use?
Yeah,
for the
they're
future?
innovative, they're great, they're doing it,
Okay.
It's working.
We just need more of them?
Probably.
Okay.
We had lunch, didn't know we were going to have lunch, but with a couple that were doing 46,000 pounds of sprouts every 3 days
Oh my gosh.
in a small facility.
Okay.
Every 3 days.
And that was here?
No, it was in Hawaii.
Oh, okay. Well, why? Okay.
And they had a
I was-
market, but you could do that here.
Okay.
All right,
Alrighty.
you can do the sprouts here. Went to a farm where they actually bring in, this is an amazing group. They have 950 some centers in the world. They're in 150 to 160 countries. They bring in people to teach them at some of these centers. And the
Okay.
one we visited, they had the African Kehoe systems for permaculture. They had tilapia being grown here using the water for aquaponics, for the nutrients for the aquaponics. And it was all being, they worked it out. No outside inputs, just what do you have available in your community to work with to produce food. And these people were coming up, hundreds and hundreds of people were coming to learn and then take it back to their community.
Okay.
Fabulous program.
So is that something you think we should do more of
Well, I
here?
think-
Is bringing in? I know you think of Israel, you think of some of these other areas that have really been creative in terms of water, as well as growing methods.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's something our government should be promoting? And
I don't think we can wait for them.
oh, okay,
mean,
alrighty. So we need to get right on it.
Yeah, I think we have the talent here,
Okay.
you know. We have the talent here, we just need to do it. The one thing I will say is, I look at the state or county government as kind of being the buffer between the state and the feds, and I think the supervisors understand that, that they are, you know, they're not here to regulatory us, put regulations on us, but I sometimes think the management doesn't get it, that how critical it is and how tired some farmers are getting of having to be accountable to just nitpicky stuff.
Yeah.
If it's important, yes, we'll go along with it. Otherwise, get out of our way,
Yeah. To get the
And-
job done.
you know.
Do you find in that regard, you are certified as organic,
Yeah.
do you find those regulations and rules, are they burdensome or can you live with them?
It
Do
may
you
be a
think
better farmer.
okay, all right, so you think that is a good strategy in
Sure.
terms of help, okay.
Yeah, it may be a better farmer.
Okay, but it's probably I know we do have other challenges, like USDA approval on meat. I mean, we desperately need a meat processing plant that's closer than 3 or 4 hours. Would that be an example of something that you're smiling? Yeah, that's an area I know for our livestock folks.
No,
it's-
you probably don't know it, but yeah, because we are part owners of one.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not going to comment.
Okay, all right.
I
So
think
no-
local control is a lot better than far away control. Local supply is better than any, you know.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah, but try to get one in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Building one is easy. Running one is the difficulty.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's not that we want it. Yeah.
Oh, in terms of other things that we can do locally for climate change, something that really shocks me is United Nations has predicted that within 60 years, all of our topsoil is going to be gone if we continue to farm the way we're farming now. I've read that and I thought, oh my gosh, we've got to do something. And as you say, we have to do something quickly. One of the new things, the new strategies on the scene, of course, is regenerative agriculture and employing some of the conservation techniques that, gosh, we learned how to do back in the Dust Bowl days. Is that something, are there approaches changes that you've made in terms of how you farm on your land that use more of those topsoil conservation methods like cover crops and minimal tilling and things of that nature? And do you think that will contribute to giving us more abundant agriculture?
It has for us.
Okay.
Once we went to cover crops, and since we had a lot of dairies in Orland area, we were able to get really good tested quality compost, and we just kept putting it on. Our yields just started going up.
Wow.
And cover crops, we don't till down there, and we're actually looking at we don't even like to use herbicides. There are organic herbicides, so we hand mow it, whatever. We are looking now at a machine, the steamer, that will kill weeds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
and it's fabulous because, it's going to be cheaper than anything.
Than a man with a hoe.
It might even be cheaper than Roundup.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
It's amazing what it will do.
Okay.
And they really perfected it in Australia. But our yields went right up. Up here we do till, rototill, disc.
Okay.
But we're doing cover crops. Or we're doing row crops.
Row crops,
Yeah.
okay.
And we do have a cover crop up here.
And I wonder, for someone like yourself, I mean, obviously melons and squashes, that's a lot of land. I mean, it's easier to hand till for greens, which is a smaller space. So for those of you that are growing those types of crops, I think that makes a difference. Another question I had, Rich, on the whole water issue is the water. So much of our land here is irrigated pasture.
Yeah.
How do you, in terms of conservation and using our land as wisely as possible, do you think that maybe converting some of that to cropland would be to our advantage so that we could get more produce per square foot than perhaps you would with livestock on it? What do you think about that?
It's a private property.
Okay, all right.
I mean, some people, I ran away from livestock when I was young.
Okay.
I mean, I was around it all the time, and I said, no, that's not for me.
Okay.
I want to go farming. And particularly, I want to go trees. And to make a change to row crops has been a little bit of a, challenge. But to go to livestock is a whole different mindset.
Okay.
And you got to look at our ranchers here. Most of them are extremely well managed. Yeah. 1 acre of irrigated rangeland here is equivalent to 1 acre of Amazon land for carbon sequestration.
Okay.
Amazing. But what it also does is that it's a community-sized fire break.
Yeah.
It will stop a large fire, and it has. Now, do some of these ranches have prime ag land? Yes, prime soil. And have we had that conversation between yes. Do they have good reasons for not going there? Yes.
Okay.
And you got to respect that. It's their choice.
Yeah, and we see a lot of, I think, farms that run livestock and then also provide that land. They rotate in crops. So there's been some very innovative ways of addressing that, where you can, with the best of both worlds, where everybody, benefits. So I'm thinking perhaps more utilization of those type of arrangements might be the way to go for the future, to really get the most bang for our buck.
Yeah, so down in the San Joaquin Valley, a guy, J.G. Boswell Company, used to be the largest, 100,000 acres or something.
Wow.
And he ran cotton. And I heard one of his biggest regrets was he used a lot of water. He would go down and suck his, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he would go, my only regret was that I was using it on a low value crop. Whereas the new guys down there, the largest is wonderful. That's what they call themselves. 180,000 acres. They all have high value crops. So they can afford whatever systems or buy any water that they want.
What is a high value crop?
Pistachios, almonds, pomegranates.
Okay. Alrighty, so it would be that.
Yeah. And so that's why you see so many almonds going in, also because of labor laws in California. A lot easier to grow almonds with less people.
Okay, that's an interesting observation. One of the things that I've been surprised at is in our community how few orchards there are. So I mean, I hear you talking about your success and your comfort level with orchards, and I'm thinking, gosh, I wish we had more of that in Nevada County.
Yeah.
Because what I hear from farmers is it's risky. I mean, it takes a while for those trees to produce.
Yeah. The one we would grow would take 10 years.
Okay.
We would try to do some citrus up here, but you look at Chicago Park, Peardale, it was world class
Yeah.
back, and they were shipping everywhere.
Okay.
They had the best, but the blight comes in, they're gone. And that's a huge investment.
Yeah, that's what I think too. That,
Yeah.
you have to really, really swallow hard and perhaps diversify so that you can have other things to fall back on if you have a problem like that.
And one of the reasons we grow winter squash is that we can store it
Oh, okay.
and sell it over time,
Okay.
so the market stays strong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Are you using season extenders now on your property?
Not really.
No. Okay. All
No.
right.
And that's just personal preference. Well, the soil is, some of it I could do it. I could get in and do season extenders easily.
Okay.
But most of it is a little too wet.
Okay. Alrighty. So that makes it difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is, I'm amazed at what you do, and I've seen your property. It is truly beautiful. I haven't seen your Orland property. I'd love to see those orchards one of these days. Where do we go from here, Rich? I know you've been a tireless advocate, for farms, the farm stands. You worked for how many years on employee housing so that we have people to actually work on our farms.
Yeah.
We sort of talked about some of the things we have accomplished. Is there anything that you would, in terms of the Board of Supervisors, that you think we could do a little bit more where they could help agriculture, give it a little bit more of a boost and prepare us for climate change? Because obviously you're thinking that we need to take more. We need to be more self-reliant. That as a county we have the capacity. We have right now, at least, we have the water, land, sunshine, all of the ingredients for a great ag community.
We have the ingredients. We're getting young kids in with a lot of energy, innovation.
Okay.
We have it. We got a lot of, elders like Amigo and who, this works. No, this didn't work. We tried that 40 years ago.
Okay.
All right, but I think now it's implementing. For me, it's going to be more direct access to the markets. It's going to go to, we can now get off our farms, go almost anywhere in Nevada County in a commercially zoned area that has high traffic and a restroom.
Okay.
All right, it's all set up with the permission of the owner of that land, and set up and have a farm stand. We can have 10 of us there. So my envision, and maybe not this year, but eventually we're going to be strategically placed throughout the county, and it's going to be easy for people to pick up, find a favorite. I mean, to me, the consumer is going to have to buy more, find their favorite farmer, start buying from them.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That,
Make it easy that they can come and buy what they want.
okay.
That
was going to be my next question, is how can the community help encourage local agriculture, and how do we, I guess it's a limit. How do you help them to understand how important it is to do this? And it becomes, as we've talked about, it is a price point thing. I mean, people are accustomed. The almond grower in the valley can grow almonds a lot cheaper than we certainly could up here.
A lot cheaper.
So do you have any ideas on how we can have people make that leap or educate them better on why it's important?
I think it's a price point.
Okay, all right. So we're just
and convenience. If you could walk, if you could drive 1 mile and buy everything you want, or have to go down to 50 miles or 30 miles of Roseville or whatever it is, and buy there, well, you got a cost.
Right.
That's
true.
It's all convenience, I think, and then becomes a price point. We don't try to price our product beyond the market.
Okay.
And it's up to me to find a way to grow it profitably.
Okay. So we're coming back again to education.
Yeah, I just
think
don't
that-
want the last 20% of the the markup, or the 10% or whatever it is. Put it at a fair price, guarantee the product, and make it convenient for someone to buy it.
Okay.
You know, I think that will work. Going forward, it's going to be we're going to come across things we haven't even thought of.
Okay. That's always the case when you sort of peer off in the future. I think you have it mapped out, and
Yeah.
no, there's a surprise probably waiting for you for sure.
Oh, I think, yeah, and let's see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hey, well, thank you. Probably a good way to wrap up. I want to thank you very much, Rich. I mean, you are a real asset to the community, and I really appreciate you coming out and talking to us. And I expect you'll be one of those nurturing senior farmers like Amigo Bob that will be helping to bring along some great new farmers that we have in this
We
community.
have great farmers.
So,
Yeah.
it's terrific.
A lot of support.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I
All
really
right.
appreciate it. Okay.
Thanks, Debbie.
And to our viewers, thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate you tuning in and seeing this segment. And please be aware that you can see past episodes at the Nevada County Digital Media Center. It's on their website. And the program can also be viewed on YouTube and Monday nights at 7 p.m. on Comcast Channel 17. And also, if you like these programs and you're so inclined, we always appreciate donations to support NCTV and the programming. Thank you again.